This is author Timothy Zahn. You're listening to Virtual Cantina Network.
Wow. That was awesome.
You didn't know we had that?
No.
I didn't know
the
if I had
Zahn one,
permission
yeah.
to use those. I was just going to start using them.
Start using them. That was awesome. That is like my favorite author. That was so super cool.
Well, yeah, so look at that. There's a couple of good ones, but I was like, you know what? This one has to do with books. This one's ours.
That's ours.
Yeah. All right.
We own it.
Welcome,
We're
everybody.
the Jedi Archives.
We're the
Heck
Jedi
yeah.
Archives. We go over literature in any way, shape, or form for Star Wars. My name's Jonathan. Below me is
Obi Bryce Kenobi.
And I am Obi Mike Kenobi.
and I'm Obi John.
Kenobi.
All right,
Or
guys.
if you really wanted to be fancy, you could be Obi Wan.
Ooh.
Could be Obi-Wan, but I don't know. I've never gone with the Star Wars names like a lot of people. The taglines. It's just I don't know. I tried John Solo. I thought, that sounds kind of cool, John Solo. But I was like, I don't know. I just never got into it. Today
I mean, it would fit because it's Jon, so I think
I know
you
it
should
does
roll with
work.
it.
Yeah, so I'm like, it could be John Solo. I don't know. I'm just too mature for it.
You are mature.
Well, anyway, we're here with Star Wars: The High Republic adventures,
Yes.
and today we've got a special treat for you. We're going to go over 4 issues. In one, it's the High Republic Adventures comic review for Dispatches from the Occlusion Zone. It's a 4 comic book arc that gives us self-contained stories from the High Republic Phase 3, or at least
But
that
has
was
an
the intent.
overarching story on top of that.
Yeah, so that was the intent at least. So we're going to start with number 1. So this is the Marauders, known as the Nile, have stranded hundreds of worlds in a part of the galaxy known as the Occlusion Zone, with communications blocked and ships unable to enter. Jedi Knights Keith Trennis and Eldar Mann have turned to the centuries-old technology, the EX droids, to send messages of hopes into the zone. The messages they receive in return from Jedi younglings, Padawans, and Knights, and more, will set the stage for the final battle between the noble Jedi and the nefarious Nile. So here's the first issue. And this series does not have variants, so just the one main covers.
I didn't
So
see
here's cover
any.
number 1.
Oh, no variants. It's like one of my favorite parts.
No variants, so I know these
I
don't
like
have variants.
this cover
so
because this cover kind of gives you the different like Jedi that are involved in all the issues.
all 4. Mm-hmm.
So
It does. So what they did is they plucked all of these, and we're going to get 4 separate issues that tell you all of their stories separately.
mm-hmm.
So here's number 1. I click next, and nothing is happening.
Cool.
Because it's trying to show you the next
here's number
cover.
2.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here's number 2. When an important Republic droid is captured by the ruthless Nile commander called the Warden, we know him, Crash Ongwa sends Jedi Padawan turned freedom fighter Rue to rescue it from the Warden's clutches. Meanwhile, teenage Nile member Drigget Parse is tasked with hacking the droid, but she just might have her own ideas about how to use it. See how they collide in award-winning Alyssa Wong's High Republic Adventures debut.
I met Melissa Wong.
I have an autographed book, right? Don't I have an autographed book by her?
As soon as I figure out how mail works, I'll get it over to you.
I thought I sent you my address.
No, not blaming you. Something's wrong with me. My swag I shipped to Spencer I would say a month ago. He says it's still bouncing around here in Southern California. And you follow the tracking number, it's just bouncing around here. So you might not even get it in time. So I need to learn how mail works. So once I figure that out, I'll get that to you.
Dang.
So here's cover number 2. And here we see the EX droid. And the EX droids are pretty cool because they're from the very, very beginning of Phase 1.
I love this cover. I honestly think out of the four of them, this is my favorite.
I was gonna say I didn't care that much for this cover. It looks, I don't know, the art's a little, I don't know, childish to me, but it is a cool characters on it. I love the EX droid. It's total a throwback. Helps circle that.
I do like the EX droid, but that's about it for this issue. Oh, zoomed in. All right, let's go on to next one. Number 3. Jedi Master and expert investigator Emmerich Captor, blast from the past, seeks the true nature of the Nameless. To help him solve the mystery of the Force Eaters, Emmerich has brought on a Nihil prisoner of war with knowledge of the creatures. Together, the unlikely duo crosses the volcanic landscape of a distant moon in search of answers. Will the Jedi's traveling companion prove to be a liability or an asset on this treacherous journey?
Ooh, that's a nice
cool
cover.
one.
Yeah. Even without seeing the bottom, just the tops together, that was a cool cover.
Yeah, it is.
Even though this was the kind of the lamest out of all the issues. Still a really cool cover.
No, the lamest was number 2.
Was it?
Oh, stop it.
No, this is the lamest. This just kind of didn't go
I will
anywhere.
agree with you, Bryce. This is the lamest.
And then this is the best of all 4. As calls for help make their way across the storm wall, the Marshal of the Republic fleet turns to an unlikely ally, former Jedi THRA. But can the Maverick Saber for Hire be trusted when she encounters an old enemy of the ravaged plains of Dalna? Who can that be?
I love Ty York. I'm so glad they roped her back in.
Oh, I love her.
Yeah, well,
she's
there is
so
still the 4-part Saber for Hire too. That actually precedes this.
But that's a solo adventure for her, right? Those her, I don't know what you call spin-offs. They have some tie-in, but this is tie-in with a bunch of characters, so I really like that.
Yeah.
Oh, this particular issue, yeah, but
It's good.
The Force Saber, but then she had one as well in Phase 1 too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that was right before the events on Ballo or right after. I can't remember.
Yeah, she was like a moth hunter or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
So, all right, guys. So let's jump right into it. So, should I leave this up? Which was your favorite cover?
Mine was the third. First was pretty good too. This one feels like it's missing something.
Second cover?
But Bryce really liked the second.
I did.
I can tolerate it if you want to put it up.
I just like Rue because he's such a mysterious character.
Actually,
Was she in the very first story where they brought in the Drengir, or is that a different character?
No, she was not.
No, Crash. I think
This is
first
Crash.
showed up in Midnight Horizon on Corellia.
Mm-hmm.
No, Rue. When did she first show up?
Rue is a he.
Oh, when did he first show up?
Rue is a he.
Rue. I think Rue was a comic character. I don't know if he was in any of the books. I believe.
That's the one thing that gets a
I
little
don't-
complicated to track people because we're all over.
Yeah, I don't know if
comic
you-
books. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
I
remember
don't.
Rue
I
in
don't think
Midnight
Rue is in any of the
Horizon.
books. Mm-mm.
Yeah, I think.
But Rue, it looks the best in this comic. I will give him that.
Yeah.
I think he's the artist. Who's the artist in this one? Valeria Favakia and Michael.
I can't read.
Valeria Favakia and Michael Adeye. They, I think they drew him the best in this comic. I will
noticed
say that.
he's got the Nihil helmet attached to him.
Oh, that's cool.
Right, but did the helmet affect him? Because
It did because remember,
yes,
he
the
did.
helmet
He went
affects him,
undercover
right?
before. Yeah,
right, but I didn't realize that the helmet affected him. So just the
I think
act of
it
putting the
does
helmet
because
on
of the
affected
way
him.
his vision is. Right, his eyes are that like starry
Like the
abyss.
universe. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so like covering that up, probably he has to refocus, and recenter with the Force,
Yeah, I thought
knowing.
that was interesting. Yeah. So my favorite cover is the last one.
The last one. Wow, we all had different
with
covers.
the Ty York.
Mm-hmm. It's my favorite because I love Ty Yorick. Yeah, she's
I
my
love
favorite.
Tides. Yeah.
And
So
her
I
little bunny
do-
sidekick.
I do love these 4 issues. How we do revisit a lot of characters we haven't touched base with, and it's kind of like I
Yeah.
said earlier, it gets complicated, but it's also very rewarding. If you could
Yeah.
invest it, it is a lot. It is. This is. I don't know. This might be the biggest. When you go back from the beginning, this might
A
be
lot
like
of
the
dialogue.
biggest story.
It
No,
is.
the whole High Republic over all the characters might be one of the biggest stories I've ever read. It's probably even bigger than the MCU when you look at all the different characters
Yeah.
we followed, all the different places. So it is
Oh,
very rewarding
sure.
if you can follow it. It's just it is a
Yeah.
lot, and it can get a little frustrating. There's times where I get frustrated. I'm like, oh my god, who's this? Like, who's that name again? Where's this person from? But if you
Yeah,
can
that's
track
true. It's a
back
lot.
it, like Ty's been very rewarding because I have been able to track her and stuff like that. Emmerich has been really cool to follow his story, so it's making me.
Yeah, they've had limited exposure, with
Yeah.
only being in certain books, and then obviously
Mhm.
Ty's been in
So yeah,
one book.
Not too many, but she's very memorable. So the thing is, that's the funny thing.
she's
Yeah.
fallow. Yeah.
Yeah. Hmm. That's the thing. Some are not in many things, but very memorable. And there are other characters that pop up a lot and not memorable at all.
Isn't she like riding a dragon in the was it Escape
Yes.
from Valor, the name of the book? She's like riding this dragon or something.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was pretty awesome. So
What I'm saying to the listeners, High Republic is a lot and it can be frustrating and confusing, but if you
a
do
little
decide,
overwhelming.
if
Yeah.
you do invest it, it is really good. Because I do hear like people say it just gets crushed under its own weight, and if it kind of does, but if you can put a little effort into it, it is very rewarding, and it's definitely been a good ride since the ending is within sight now. So
Yeah.
Yeah, which obviously this the 4th book kind of alludes to it. And obviously we know 14, 15, 16, and 17, the last 4 books of the main line of adventures is the war itself.
yeah,
Right. So going back to 1 now, this story centers around Elzar Mann sending out the probes and hoping to get
In Court.
a message out into the occlusion zone, right? Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Well, because Court is in the occlusion zone, so he sends out the
Yeah, and
message to
yep, we see the first droid, and is it VJ? VJ brings the droid to Court, and then Court obviously gets the
Mhm.
message from Elzar Mann, and starts then, okay, I understand, and then he starts recording the mission, and then you see, nope, it started before that, with Severin and looking for oh my gosh, why can't I remember? What were those ape looking?
the gorillas.
I can't remember. Yeah, but they had a name.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, but that's the thing. That's the problem with this issue, though. It's a lot of telling and not a lot of seeing and happening. And I think it's a lot of recap in this issue. So that was my complaint with this first one.
Yeah, but also at the same time, they were trying to track down Severin because she kept disappearing, and they wanted answers. So really, they took what was the creature's name? Like
Let's just call it the gorilla, Magilla.
man, but they coaxed her away.
Yeah.
But then they ended up finding like the underground. They met into some Nile. Meanwhile, obviously these are all flashbacks because Court's telling the story.
Right, right.
And then come to find out, Severin's down there, and the problem is that the Nile attack or whatever happened before had cracked like the main reactor that's underneath the city, and a war would basically that Eridu would be gone,
Destroyed.
or at
Right.
least
Would be
Eridu
destroyed.
City and Bifrang City would be destroyed.
Right,
So
right.
like they're trying to fix it, but that's now how severe
Veermark.
yes,
Veermuk,
thank you.
right, the Veermuk.
Yeah.
Correct.
So that kind of ended the first one, but right then it was cool because then the transition then was Emmerich showing up at the last minute, right as Quart was getting ready to send the droid out. So after the story is told, that's a good synopsis of the story, I think. But again, not a lot happens, but
Mhm.
it's the overarching thing is there are these EX droids that are a century old, and they get
Old,
through
it's old
the
tech.
occlusion zone.
Right, because
Yeah,
the occlusion zone is not designed to check old tech. It's like for
right.
modern tech, and that's how they're
Yeah,
able to outsmart them. So that
yeah.
leads us to the second issue, and there we see
Mhm.
the EX droid. And in
Yep.
this one, so this story, thankfully, much better, right? So I think this brings it up better because here we have a complete story now, and we do see stuff that happens. Because in this story, Alyssa Wong writes it, and she tells us the whole story about it. It's a self-contained story now, where Crash is now with the conflicted Rue, and we do have that EX droid that did uh, it crashed into the Nile ship, and so the warden captured it, and he wants to decode it, but he can't because it has Jedi encryption, and so he gives it to Drigget, and Drigget says, "Oh, I can decode it because I used to work with Jedi." And so the warden's like, "All right, but you better fix it, and if you can't do it, you know what's going to happen to you." So he leaves it with Drigget, but she can't decode it. But then Crash tells Rue, "Well, you know what? Put this Nile mask on." And no, Rue says, "I'm going to put the mask on again." And she's like, "No, you
Yeah.
can't do it. 'Cause last time,
Remember
you
last
know what it
time?
did to you. Remember last time?" He said, "No,
Yeah.
but this is important. I have to." So then Ruth decides to do it on his own. And that's when I realized, you know what? The mask has an effect on him. So he puts it
Well, and
on.
it's evident in the comic too, because like basically what is Crash is standing there, but then like Rue's like um almost like a cloud, a swirling cloud.
Yes. And you
So
know what?
it's almost like it's
Right, and
go
the
ahead,
other
Mike.
thing too is the story, the emotions of this issue, because in this issue, so in the other one, there's a lot of telling, right? But in this issue, there's a lot of action and the visuals and the artwork, because the expressions on their faces, and like you were saying, you can see the hints in the artwork that
Mhm.
give you the emotions and the drama and everything that's going on. So this is a lot more emotive for the viewer. So when you're reading it, you can tell a lot more from the expressions on their faces and also from
Mhm.
all the visuals going on around in the artwork. So for me, this was a lot more engaging as a reader than the previous comic. So that's why I thought, oh wow, what a difference going from the first issue where there was a lot of just like reading and retelling that wasn't very engaging for me. Then you went to this one where the artwork and the storyline, which was much more engaging as well, where something was actually happening and moving a story
Yeah.
along, not just a
Well,
retelling.
I feel like the first one, if you were to like plug these, I know obviously there's the overarching thing with the EX droids, but each each one of these things you could probably fit into the timeline
Mm.
differently
Well,
instead of
yeah,
just
that's
reading it,
true. No, you're right.
so like this
They do
one
fit.
is yeah, like I feel like the episode like the first issue was right in with when we did um Tarkin Family Business, those two You know what I'm saying? Like that's,
Mm-hmm.
I think that's like the third issue.
Mm-hmm.
So it's you know what I mean? Because they pick up on the Veermok and everything like that, and Severn disappearing. So I kind of feel like that, even though they're individuals and they don't maybe necessarily flow together in one sweet story, but if you think the overarching thing is the EX droids and how important they are, that's what makes this series different. But each one you could kind of plug and play into their respective, tie-on issue with other issues within the main book.
Yeah, no, of course I agree with you. They do fit, but still, even they do fit, but the storytelling in this one was much better than the storytelling in the first one, in my
It's
opinion.
yeah, it's written by someone else, right? So there's
Yeah, it's a
obviously
different
different
writer
writers
Yeah.
do different things.
and different artists
Um,
as well.
yeah.
Mhm,
But before we
Yeah, that's the cool
forget,
thing about the series too.
mhm.
before we move on too much, I really just want to say how cool it is. And it happens sometimes in other stories where you're kind of up against something and then you have to go back and use something from the past, the old technique or something like that. Whenever movies do that, it's always really cool moment. Like, oh, we can use Morse code, or oh, we can use something. And it was an Independence Day. They were using Morse code to do
Mhm.
transmissions across the world, stuff like that. Pacific Rim, where they had to use the older mechs against the monsters because they were killing the new
Mhm.
tech monsters. So whenever that happens, it's always, I don't know what it is, but it always makes me feel good and happy. Like, oh, cool, we can do it with old tech. And so when they could send the old EX droids through, it's really like it helped me, like made me happy. I'm like, oh, that's cool. So I don't know. I guess maybe I'm very nostalgic in those things, and you can use
Mhm.
something in the past. It makes me happy.
And you know what?
So
They even did that in even in Andor. Remember in Andor when the naive guy, the idealistic guy tells Andor, "Oh yeah, I use these because they can't be tracked." The anachronistic stuff that it's not
yeah.
Mhm.
connected to the so it's true. And even in
Oh,
Battlestar Galactica too. The reason why the Battlestar Galactica was not affected by the whole takeover is because it was not the technology on the Galactica was not
yeah,
tied into the mainframe of all the other computers. It was a
yeah.
standalone, so it was pretty cool.
Yes,
That
that's. I think even
old
the
tech is
Razor Crest
encrypted.
has something like that, right? The Razor Crest was
Right. Yes.
pre something. So whenever
Yes.
they could do that, it's always like, especially what's in the moment, it's like, oh my god, we could use
Too soon,
this.
Jonathan. Too
Yeah,
soon.
yeah.
Too soon.
Oh, I forgot about the Razor Crest.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I literally like. Here's this really cool one-off ship we have not seen before, and then
it's a home.
two thirds of the way through, we're gonna
Yeah,
just destroy the thing.
that
but
was a
but
poor
bringing us back
decision.
on topic for this one because we're almost at the end
No,
of the
no,
issue
talk
number
about the
two.
Razor Crest.
Wait, wait,
Poor
wait. But
decision.
to the end of this issue, so Rue does get to the EX droid. The Drigget
Yep.
has it, and he has eyes on the EX droid, and meanwhile, Crash is like off fighting off the Nile, but then Drigget talks to Rue and says, "Hey, you know what?" And we're not quite sure. We think the Drigget's bad, but then we realize, hey, wait a minute, maybe she's not bad because she starts to convince Rue, hey, what I really want to
Right.
do is, you know what? The Republic, they are going to take care of themselves, but they're not really going to take care of everyone else who's out here.
Right.
We need to take care of ourselves, and I need to get a message out to like the Outer Rim. That's important too, and it's important. So you've got to help me break the code on this, so I can record a message to help.
Well, because she's from Valo, and she didn't
She's from
want to
Vallow,
see.
right?
She
And
didn't want to
remember,
see her home world, but she
destroyed.
doesn't really trust the Republic either. But she
Correct.
wants to send a message to the Chancellor.
Right.
Um, but the only way to do it is to have an actual Jedi unlock it. But the funny thing is, Rue is not a Jedi, so kind of weird. Like, how he's no longer a Jedi, but able to still assist.
Well, I
But
mean,
he
that's
has
several
Jedi ways,
characters and
though.
adventures. Yeah.
I mean, Tyorik's not a Jedi either. Ahsoka's not a Jedi.
Yeah, uses the Force for good. I don't. Rue's kind of still part of like a pirate gang. He's like a pirate Jedi in a way.
Mhm.
What
Even
pirate
though
Jedi did we just love recently? What was his name? I love the pirate
Ooh, let me
Jedi.
I love the Pirate Jedi too.
yeah,
Well,
I
anyway,
don't.
so
John,
Jod, Nana would. So Rue does unlock it, and then Drigget does record a message, and then my only complaint about this one, I did like it a lot, is that it does end rather abruptly, really quickly.
Which
Comes
is
to a really
really interesting because they're kind of like one-offs, and to end a one-off abruptly and not have what happens next is a
I
little
felt
odd.
like that was the way in the first one too, though.
Yeah, but the first one I was like kind of glad it ended, so no complaints there. I'm like, good, it's done.
I abruptly ended it when I slammed it down and closed it.
Which then led us to issue number 3. And this issue, I was really excited about this one
Yep.
because I love my guy,
Good old Emmerich.
Emmerich. Yeah,
Emmerich
he's hot.
Calfor, I believe.
So in this
Sherlock
one,
Holmes
Emmerich
of the
Cafter,
Jedi.
yes, he gets it on too with his
Oh, good Lord.
musical. Yep, good for him.
That is such a cool
The
cover, though.
Occlusion Zone, right? It is. So then he tricked that mad scientist. So he made the mad
Right, because
scientist think that
he had. Did he have a vector? Was it a vector or?
he had the vector,
Yeah, he had the
and he was in
vector
the
because he
vector,
was on a
and
long beam beforehand.
he sent out that message, and then the
Yeah.
mad scientist said, "Oh, I caught you because of this. You're so predictable, you Jedi." But actually, it was bait for him, and we found out
Right.
mid comic that he had done that because he knew that that's the way that he would capture him because he
Well, 'cause
needed. Yeah, go on.
he needed Baron Boolin's
Right.
knowledge with what he had known from oh my gosh.
The guy who gouged out his eyeballs, the Jedi.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, what's his name? Jonathan, what's his name? The guy.
We just
Ren.
talked about it
Was
too
it like
earlier.
Orslin or something?
Ren. What's his name? He gouged out his eyeballs, and Yoda had him.
Oh, I think
Zin.
was his last name Rel?
Zell.
Is it Rel?
Rel.
No, I gotta look.
He's a Jedi who gouged out his eyeballs because he didn't want to see.
Yeah, I gotta look now because it's gonna upset me if I don't know.
Orlin Rel, or what's his name?
I think that's what it is.
Is it
Oslin Rel?
Aslan? It's Aslan Rel. That's his name. Aslan Rel, isn't it?
Yes, Aslan Rel.
Aslan Rel. He gouged out his eyeballs. Anyway, he has his notes, but he needed the information from Bulin because Aslan Rel had encountered the Nameless and survived, and so he has lots of notes from way back when because Aslan Rel is very ancient, and so he needed the information also that this mad scientist had because he worked with Bulin from when he was very young. And we don't know how old he is because he's some alien species, so he's probably long lived. And so this was bait or a trap to be able to work with him to bring him to this isolated moon where they have the information.
Well, I think
it's a lab, right?
Isn't
it Bulin's lab where he had this stuff on the wall?
I don't think it's really. I don't know if it's a lab or if that was like a study or something because there was a lot of language all over the walls.
But it was the notes on the walls, because
But remember, like
Bulin had written stuff
when Emmerich first got captured. The dude was like, you and I are not so different.
Niv Drendau.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we both have like a passion or whatever for
knowledge,
for the Nameless, right?
For
and knowledge,
right. And of course, we all love the Nameless. We want to know more about the Nameless. So,
but then once it's discovered, like everything, then Emmerich's like, you and I are not so much different, and he flipped it back.
He flipped it. Yep.
Yeah, and then they get back on the Nile ship, and of course, Niv's recording that message. and then all of a sudden Emmerich kind of like gets up and says something, and then they just knock everybody down. And I thought it was kind of funny. He's like, so, I'll get to do this stuff like when I'm in prison, right? Like that was our agreement. Like he knows he's going to go to prison, but
Yeah,
hopefully will be treated well when he gets there, kind of thing. So I thought that was kind of funny.
that is funny. What wasn't funny is that didn't get any more information about the Nameless, which was kind of
No,
disappointing because yeah, that's kind of let down because here we are, we all want to know more about the Nameless and we got nothing. So boo. Boo issue number 3.
Boo
But
booing.
yeah, boo boolin. The good is that it didn't let us down completely because we did get issue number 4. So
Which
issue
is the
number
best
4,
one.
I'm sure we
the
can absolutely we can all agree, I'm sure, that issue
Not the
number
best
4,
cover, but the best story.
no, but the best story for sure.
well,
So,
so when I opened this book, I'm like, what the heck with the art? It was
okay, yes,
completely different than anything else.
I know.
And
Okay, I
I was
agree. I agree.
at first I was like,
What a shit show, right?
yeah, but I will tell you
It's like spaghetti.
by the end of the book, I was like, okay, I get it. I get why they did this. This is cool.
Yeah,
But at
it
first
is
I was like,
cool.
whoa. Like I was
I
really
know.
taken back on this one. But yeah,
Same,
this one was written
same.
by Kevin Scott.
Yeah,
Issues 1 and 3 were written by Daniel Jose Older, and then obviously Wong wrote issue 2.
2. Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, yeah. But this by far my favorite for sure. The yeah, you're right.
this
The
is where
artwork,
you get a ton of action, and this is where a lot of name drops just come back
great
at you.
characters. Oh yeah, yeah. So we get
So
Ty Yorick and her sidekick for sure.
yep.
So we get Ty and Druin. We get back to Dalna, which is right from the very beginning, So we get all the greats, and Dalna's just destroyed, right? It's like
Yes. It's pretty much a
unrecognizable
graveyard.
because
Yep.
at the beginning it's like Garden of Eden, right? Dalna in the beginning is like this lush planet. It's beautiful. They're farming. It's growing all these foods, and it's like producing all this vegetation. And now it's like a barren rock. It's uninhabitable. They're going into these tunnels, and um, they're amazed. Druin's like, "Oh my gosh, what are all these little mosses?" And Ty's like, "Don't worry about those mosses. Don't look at that. It's let's
Well, I think a important part that Druin called out was when they were like, "Oh wow, it looks like the droid crashed into the ship,"
Oh,
but
that's right. That's right.
there wasn't anybody in the ship. But what was unique was that
No bodies.
Ty was reaching out through the Force
Hmm.
and sensed there was something below them,
Hmm.
and Druin's like, I thought you don't usually do this. Like it was something a little
You're no
bit
Jedi.
different.
Uh-huh.
Right. And remember, she also said a job is a job, whether we get, even if we don't get paid. Like, so, she's doing Elvar Man a favor by
Right.
doing this. She's not getting, any kind of financial compensation like we have seen in the previous, Saber for Hire, like comics and stuff that she did in phase 1.
Right.
So
Right.
little bit different. You can tell her demeanor is a little bit different,
She's evolving. Yes.
except for when she sees one particular person down below.
Yes. So
Um,
she hears recognizable voices. She senses something. She's like, wait a minute. I recognize somebody.
she'd felt the dark side,
She did. Hmm.
and that's when she sees THRA with the
The,
hand.
the hand of Siberius.
Yeah, Siberius. Um, and so she goes down to confront that, and then that's when also she sees Lorna D. Um, and then so that whole like mix up, but then it was like you thought, oh my gosh, the Drengir are back. They were underneath
Well,
Dalna,
but
but then we
before that, we get some girl on girl action, right? And they're like all boom and boom, and we got Lorna against Ty, which is pretty awesome, right? Some nice panels there.
Yeah, that's fun.
But yeah, and they're like, oh, the Drengir, but Ty is like, no, because I don't feel dark side energy, right?
Yeah,
And,
and it turns out to be Villa.
Villa, which right away when I saw the vines, I did start thinking about. It reminded me of when we were on Jeddah, and I told Jonathan it reminded me of Poison Ivy, right? Because when I saw her on Jeddah, the one representative, I'm like, oh, she looks like Poison Ivy, right? The Force user, she looked like Poison Ivy. I don't know how else to say it. What's her name?
Well, I remember we had a whole conversation about that back when we did that review. Which go back and watch it.
Yeah, it was a good
it
one.
was really cool to see the Force manifest itself in other ways besides Jedi and Sith. So you
Mhm.
saw
Oh
all these other,
yeah. That was one of the convocation members.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
convocations. I was saying delegate. I can't remember.
It was
what
convocation. You're right.
It was like
so-
the convocation of the Force or something like that, and
Mhm.
it was different types of Force user, and so then that's where we had Vildar Mac and his Padawan
Oh, Vildar
show
Mac.
up in there. So
Oh,
um,
getting hot in here.
Billy Butcher. Let's remember I call him Billy Butcher.
Billy Butcher. Yep.
but yeah,
this
so
is
yeah,
another
I do
throwback to
remember who
Phase
you're
2,
talking
so.
about back there.
So just another thing, like they planted the seeds
Yeah.
a long time ago, and it came to fruition. Because if we didn't see that member, this would have been kind of odd to us. Like, oh, this is something
Right.
new.
Right.
But yeah, we did
So it did give us a lot
Yeah.
of really good cameos in this one too.
hang everything
And,
together.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Tay, Lorna D, Ty Yorick, Druin. Obviously, they want to help Villa, so they bring Villa back, to the ship,
Mhm.
and
Reunite her with her father.
yeah, so they found her father, who's in a rehabilitation
He's at a camp. Mhm.
facility on Corellia. Come to find out that the Baron Bulin actually had subjected him to some of his experiments and stuff. So that was an interesting little just piece that it wasn't just the nameless Baron Bulin was experimenting with. He was experimenting with a lot of different things. So
Mhm.
or species, I should say. So
Yep.
but then the cool part is that they were getting to the point where they had said the chancellor has a plan, and then you not hear, but then you see the bubble of it, basically like what's time to act on that plan or whatever. I don't remember the exact language, but then the very next thing, that's where you see Keeve Trennis and Spear. And I
Marshall
gotta tell you,
Keeve.
Spear looks, Marshall. Yeah, she's Marshall. But that's when you also see Skier, and Skier looks like bulked up in this particular issue. Like, dude.
Yeah, he looks great. He looks really great.
Yeah. And you can tell where this one kind of like left off is where basically issues 14, 15, 16, and 17 kind of are the wrap for that.
And then at the bottom, it just says the beginning of the end. I love it.
Yeah, and I think this also goes so those characters are also, especially Keeve. I think it's Keeve. Yeah, it's Keeve, Kalnaka, Lorna D. I can't remember who else is on the cover, but then we get back into a Marvel main line, even though it's a limited series. I think it's called Fear of the Jedi. I think it's called Fear of the Jedi, and so that's
the
going to
one-off,
be.
right? The one-off.
It's not a one-off.
It's not.
Oh no, the Marvel books are not. The Marvel books are not. It's just, but it's a very limited series that's coming back. And I believe the first cover, maybe it's Avar. Could be Avar, Chris. Avar, Keeve Trennis, Kelnaka, and Lorna D are on the cover of issue 1, but it shouldn't be a one shot. I do believe it's a limited series. So, but we're there. Like basically, like
Yeah.
the comics will run out here in, I think, April-ish, maybe May, and then it ends with Charles Soule's is it Trials of the Jedi. And the first book that started the whole thing was Light of the Jedi by Charles Soule. So I thought it was kind of, again, fitting that that's how it's going to end. But yeah, getting
excited. There. Yeah. So like I was saying earlier, it's definitely a good story to invest your time in. Yeah. All right, what do you guys review this for?
And it is a really good story.
Yeah, I really
are we going to review them all together?
Yeah,
I like
it. You gotta do it together. Don't go.
It's gotta be together.
I don't like the book 1. I like a book 2. I don't like book 3.
That's
I like
true.
book 4.
That's true. So
I like a book of 1.
So if you want to give it 3.5 for the whole thing, give it 3.5. I think you're wrong, but it's your score.
What are you
I'm
gonna
go first because I always go last.
There's a reason you go last.
I like the fact that we were bringing up stuff from the past. I like that we're reconnecting. I think we talked to Skier in a while. So I like that we reconnect with some characters. So I'm going to give one of my highest ratings 4 solid holocrons. 1 for each book. 4 altogether. So I think it's good to bring everything back. So
go ahead, Michael.
Did we lose him? Did he freeze? Am I here?
I see you, but I thought I saw Mike moving. I don't think he's moving. I think he's frozen.
Did we really lose Mike right now? All right, Bryce, give us yours. Unless Mike's really in thought.
I actually agree with you. I would go with 4. The overarching thing with the EX droids and how crucial they are and how they'll set up a plan and all that. Yeah, we definitely lost him.
Oh, I think he's back.
There he is.
Oh,
am I back? Am I back?
I agree. I agree with you. Yeah, you're back.
All right. Well, we're done. Thanks.
Am I back? Oh my god. I got no. I got frozen by Jonathan's 4 holocrons. I was like stunned.
Jaw drop.
I also give it 4 holocrons. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
4 holocrons. First time we've all agreed.
Yeah, tic-tac-toe, 3 in a row.
Yeah. So yeah, it's good. I actually enjoy once we take our parallel storylines and once in a while crisscross them. So it's fun reconnecting. It's what they call these crossover events. Yeah.
Yeah, the last time we seen Keeve and Skier was in the last issue of the main Marvel book for High Republic. That was the last time we saw him, and
he wasn't looking. He was in a bad place. Not good at all for Skier.
What was that? November, October?
Yeah,
October or November? November at the latest.
It was pretty bad.
I think it was October.
Yeah.
All right, let's pay some bills. All right, Hyperspace Props, the official sponsor of the Not So Virtual Cantina Special Edition in Japan. Pre-order your credits and cosplay props at www.hyperspaceprops.com. Use code NSVCSE for 10% off. Do you guys get that? Shop them. I bought stuff. I know Mike's bought stuff from. I don't know if you have, Bryce, but if you haven't, you need to.
I haven't. I was looking at one of the Kessel Sabak kits though.
Yeah,
I bought the Sabak. I bought a bunch of coins and a mat. I think Mike bought a lot more.
Yeah, there's some.
I bought the whole set. I bought the whole set of the coins, the money set. That was really cool because I liked them. At first, I was just buying individual sets, but you know what? I want them all. So it just came out cheaper to buy the whole set of all the money. It just came out really cool.
I think I bought 2 mats now that I think of it. Yeah, one like newer version and one old version of Sabak. Yeah,
I didn't get the mat.
Yeah, I kind of want to try to see if I can get some sort of like Sabak League or something going here. It'd be kind of cool.
That is cool.
All right. Be sure you're following us on YouTube at Virtual Cantina Network, on Instagram at virtual.cantina network, on X at at Cantina Virtual. Get that right. On Threads at virtual.cantina network and on Hive at Virtual Cantina. On TikTok. TikTok's still up? I thought they shut that down. At
No,
Virtual
TikTok's back.
Cantina. It'll be down soon. Make sure to follow us at Star Wars Celebration Japan 2025 Facebook page. Most of us will be there. But if you're not, you can always follow there for our shenanigans.
Yes,
We're
most
gonna
of
have
the
lots of
70,000
updates.
members of our Facebook page will be there.
Yeah, so it'd be a great place to follow that, follow everything, all the news and exclusives and all that. Any follow-ups, guys?
Nope.
All right. Thank you for watching and live long and prosper.
May the force be with you.